Hey guys, welcome to the podcast Dear Life. I'm your host Shaza Gulami, and this is the Faith-Based Podcast where we bring fresh perspective, real talk, and lots of inspiration from the Bible. So today I'll be talking to you guys about the things that I felt it deep inside, I used to doubt it. And I feel like there are many of you guys who might have the same question as me. So I had this question in my head that, does God love everyone equally? And does his favor only shine upon one person, or does it shine upon everybody? I had this question, and this question sounds very basic, right? Obviously we know that God loves everybody, but sometimes, we do have that thoughts, why the things aren't going my way? Why don't I see his favor like other people are receiving? We have this question, and I feel like it's okay to ask this type of question, because when we start having this type of question, we will open the Bible and we will learn and we will find answers. So I will encourage you, if you're dealing with doubts and if you have so many questions, bring it to God, bring it to the table of Christ, and he will help you, he will guide you, and he will give you the answer like he has given me. So I used to think deep down inside, even though I knew that God loves everyone, and in Bible we find it in verse that he gave his one and only son for each and every one of us, right? So from there, it reflects that he loves all the people in the earth. So, but I still had the question, God, I need more clarification. I need more example. Then I found an example from Abraham's life. And before we speak about Abraham, we're gonna read the verse from Rome 2:11. It says here that, for God does not show favoritism. And in here, this verse is clearly stating that God do not like favoritism. Just loving one person, giving the favor to only one person. God gives favor to everyone. And we can see it from the story of Abraham. I like to use example of Abraham because it gives the clear example. So Abraham, right? We know him as a wealthy, he had a lot of things, in his life he was favored by God. He had a good wealth, he had a family, and we know him as a father of nation, right? We know Abraham as a father of nation, and he was pretty wealthy guy. So I was thinking, God, I know that you blessed Abraham and his family, but what about other people? You could have done the same thing for other people. Then the revelation kicked me in. When I understood this, I was reading the verse, and then I was understanding that, God blessed Abraham. And I was like, why couldn't God bless other people? For example, Lot, Abraham's nephew, right? Lot came along with Abraham, and I was like, why? Then I saw the main part why God's favor was showering so much upon Abraham but not Lot's is because God's favor is in all of us, but it is our duty to have a faith and be obedient to God. Yes, you have a favor of God. Yes, I have a favor of God, but it is my duty, whether I'm listening to God's voice, whether I'm listening to God's words and being obedient, being faithful whenever I don't see a way, trusting that God will provide for me. And that will take me to the destination that God has assigned for me, that God has planned for me. And I was like, a lot of the time, those are the things that we lack as a person, and it was hard for Abraham. We think Abraham as very wealthy guy, that, God's favor was with him. He got the promised child and everything. His life was full of joy and everything. We think like that, but we don't think it like this. When God told Abraham to leave his family and take his wife and move to the place that God has assigned for their life, during that time, when he heard the voice, During that time, he might have a doubt. He might have he could have said oh my God, that's too much risk. I don't want to do it. But in that time, Abraham, he became faithful to God. He was obedient to God, and he decided to take a risk. And when we think about he just left his family and went, that takes a lot of courage. And it's a lot of it is a lot of it's so hard to leave your family behind and go to the foreign country where God is telling you to settle in, and you have no idea what's God's plan. But he was being faithful. And a lot of the time when we focus in the story of Abraham, we focus, oh yes, Abraham is a guy who sacrificed his son for God, and he known as father of nation, and he's a very wealthy guy. But we don't see how much Abraham struggled to get to that faith. And to you and me, we can take an example, favor comes to us, but to get the favor, it doesn't come easily. You and me, we need to be obedient. We all have a favor of God, but we need to be obedient. We need to listen to God. And a lot of the time, we wish to be like Abraham. We wish to have a wealth like Abraham. We wish to have a family like Abraham. But you know what? We don't wish to sacrifice our thing, the precious thing, for God. And a lot of the time, when God's favor is in us, a lot of the time, God will tell us to sacrifice things that is very dear to us, that is very precious to us. But are we willing to be like Abraham during that time? Because it is easy to be with God during the happy time, during the time where God is answering all of those things. But we need to be like Abraham. Even though God asked him to give the precious things to God, he gave it without even asking a question. So, my friend, the thing is that, yes, God's favor is in all of us, but we need to, before questioning God, we need to ask ourselves, before doubting God, that yes, God's favor is in me, but am I being obedient to God? Am I hearing his voice? Because God's favor is in all of us, and he loves all of us, and he has a perfect plan for us. But are we walking in the plan that God has designed? Are we taking the risks that God said to take, like Abraham did? And that's the hard part, my friend. That is hard for me, for you, because we don't want to do uncomfortable things. But hear me out. When God told Abraham to do uncomfortable things, he didn't stay in his comfort zone. He walked, believing that God will provide a way. When he didn't see a way, he believed that God will provide a land. And we need to have a faith like Abraham. And when God favor showers in us, we need to be like Abraham, obedient and faithful, and walk with God when things doesn't seem right. And I hope from this podcast, you learn to be obedient and listen to God's voice. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to learn more insight on God and how to stay strong in our faith.